Good morning, Grigori High. I'm Jason Hutchison.
And I'm Cesar Escobar. Today is Friday, March 23rd.
Today on JCTV, we check out an interesting story about some trouble two hikers had at Squaw Valley.
We also bring you a story about a lovely camping trip with the Escobar family.
All this and more on today's JCTV. A mother and father take a trip to Squaw Valley and run into some trouble. With little gear on and a long hike ahead of them, we look at some of the endeavors they came upon on their hikes.
Mom and I like to do lots of hikes, and this is a vacation that we took up in Squaw Valley in May of 2017, and we stayed at the Olympic Village in Squaw Valley, and one of the guys who ran the hotel said, there's a great trail just adjacent to the hotel. It's only about a couple miles long, and it runs alongside a stream. And if you take that up and back, it's about 4 miles, and it's really beautiful this time of the year. There's lots of snow, but there wasn't any adjacent to the stream. So we started walking up the stream, and we figured to be back in an hour and a half. So we only wore light coats and our sneakers and no hats or mitts or any of that stuff. So we took off, and the hike was such a beautiful hike. When we got to the end of the hike, we just wanted to keep going. So I had Mom put on her GPS, and we found an additional trail that ran up the side of the mountain. It was probably about 6.5, 7 miles total, which wasn't very far. So we kept going because the terrain was so beautiful. And it seemed as we got farther up the trail, it started to get wider and a lot more snow, but it was a beautiful sight. So we kept going, and I'd say probably 4 or 5 miles into the hike, we started getting into some terrain that was really pretty treacherous. And realizing we didn't have the appropriate gear and we weren't dressed appropriately, we started to get a little nervous. But we kept hiking because now we've gotten to that point where it's not just a hike, it became a challenge. And we wanted to see as much as we could see, and to go back would have just been boring. And we saw that there was a Olympic Village up at the top of the summit. And we were thinking, well, if we just go another 3 or 4 miles, we'll be able to get to the top of that. But the snow started to get really deep, and there were places where not only was it really slippery, but it was so deep that we were sinking into up to our knees. And so we started crawling on our hands and knees like animals. And by the way, those were the only tracks we saw in the snow. There weren't any human tracks. This place hadn't been touched in a long time, but there were animal tracks. Anyway, long story short, it took us about 5.5 hours, but we started out at 6,800 feet, and we ended up going like 10,200 feet in total. And we came up behind the Olympic Village up at the top of the summit where they held all the Olympics at Squaw Valley. We asked them if we could use the ski lifts to get to climb the rest of the way up to the summit because we weren't sure we were going to be able to make it, but they said no, that was against the rules. So we just kept climbing, kept persevering, kept going, and the feeling that we had when we finally got to the summit was just amazing. And so we went inside the Olympic Village and had something warm to drink, and kind of giggled about how stupid that hike was, because no one in their right mind would have tried that hike, even at that time of the year, dressed as we were. It was an interesting experience.
At first, the hike was really, really beautiful. I was so excited that I kept telling my husband, let's get going. Let's just keep going and enjoy the view, the waterfalls. And at the middle of our hike, the snow was getting so deep. It was pretty scary because when we start stepping, every move we take, it just got deeper and deeper. And it was a big challenge. So at the very end, it was a big accomplishment.
JCTV would like to congratulate our very own state qualifiers for golf, Alex Simano and Daraj Sabala.
We would also like to give a huge thank you to our sponsors Jim McCarthy and Jim Davis. Then we take a look at a Grigori High family who recently took a camping trip to Santa Cruz. They did a lot of activities on the beach and at their campground. Cesar Escobar brings you this and more.
Hi, my name is Kayla Barrientos, and I'm 16 years old, and I'm going to be talking about the time I went camping with my boyfriend and his family. In May of 2017, we went camping near Santa Cruz Beach, and we stayed there for about 3 days. The first day we got there, we set up the tent and we got all the food and all the pillows and the blankets, and after we were done, we went hiking down to the beach. We stayed at the beach for about 30 minutes where we played in the sand and the water, and then afterwards we just hiked back to the campsite where we rested for a little and took a breather. We then made cheeseburgers for dinner, and we ate chips and drank some sodas, and afterwards we went to another friend's campsite that was a few, maybe 100, 200 feet away. And we just hung out with them, sat around a campfire, ate some of their food, talked, laughed. And then afterward, my boyfriend and I went back to the campsite where we rested, and after an hour or so, fell back asleep because we were so tired from the long drive and all the hiking that we did earlier on in the day. The next day, in the morning, we ate eggs and coffee, and then again went to the friend's campsite where we talked with them again and planned out what we were going to do for the rest of the day. We decided we were going to go to the beach for longer this time, so we packed up all the towels, we packed up a cooler, food, blankets, sunscreen, and everything that we needed to go to the beach. And we headed down within an hour or so, and we set everything up. After staying there for a little bit and playing in the water, my boyfriend and I decided to walk along the beach down to a old ship to see it, and we would walk back. As we were walking towards the ship, we found multiple shells, and we decided to keep walking, where we also found little sand crabs and other cool little things. As we got to the ship, we took pictures under the dock and decided to just head back. The whole walk took about an hour to 2 hours because of how far the ship was and how slow we were walking. We got back where we just rested, we ate watermelon, we ate some chicken, we ate chips, and we just talked and laughed with my boyfriend's family and the family friends. We headed back after maybe 4 or 5 hours of being at the beach, and when we got back, we just rested and laid down and just talked. And yeah, we fell asleep about 10 at night and woke up again early in the morning the next day to pack everything up and go back home. As we were packing everything up, we were laughing, talking, and making sure we got everything we had, and decided to go home maybe around 11 or 12 or so. We drove back, and on the drive back, most of us napped.
Camping was great. Kayla really enjoyed it. She even cooked for us. It was amazing. Can't wait to do it again.
Thanks, Caesar.
Well, that's it for today's JCTV.
I'm Jason Hutchison.
And I'm Cesar Escobar.
See you next week.